The starship ESS Prometheus hung silently in the void, its quantum sensors probing the depths of the Carina Nebula. Captain Sarah Morrison stood at the bridge's observation window, her weathered face reflected against the backdrop of swirling cosmic gases. 20 years of deep space exploration had led to this moment, humanity's first contact with an advanced civilization. "Captain," Lieutenant Wei Zong called from his station, his voice tight with excitement. "We're detecting artificial structures throughout the nebula. They're massive, like nothing we've ever seen before." Sarah nodded, her heart racing despite her calm exterior. "Take us in, Wei. Nice and easy." As the Prometheus glided deeper into the nebula, the structures became visible to the naked eye. Massive crystalline architectures floated in space, each 1 kilometers long, pulsing with internal energy that defied human understanding. They were beautiful, terrifying, and absolutely alien. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, the ship's xenobiologist, worked furiously at her console, analyzing the incoming data. "These structures are alive, Captain, or at least they're partially organic. The energy patterns suggest some form of consciousness." Before Sarah could respond, a surge of energy washed over the ship. The crew gasped collectively as a presence filled their minds, ancient, vast, and undeniably intelligent. Curious, the presence communicated directly into their thoughts. Another species stumbling beyond their cradle. How quaint. Sarah straightened her uniform, squaring her shoulders. "I am Captain Sarah Morrison of the Earth science ship Prometheus. We come seeking peaceful contact and the exchange of knowledge." A sensation like cold laughter rippled through their minds. Knowledge? What knowledge could your infant species possibly offer the Nexarians? "We were masters of 11 dimensions when your ancestors were still learning to make fire." The dismissal stung, but Sarah maintained her composure. "Every species has something to teach, something to offer. We may be young, but we're eager to learn." "Learn?" The Nexarian presence seemed to focus more intently on them. "Very well. Let us see what your primitive minds can comprehend." Images flooded their consciousness, mathematical equations that seemed to twist reality itself, physics that made their most advanced theories look like a child's crayon drawings, and concepts that threatened to overwhelm their sanity. But something unexpected happened. While most of the crew recoiled from the mental onslaught, Dr. Rodriguez remained standing, her eyes wide with understanding. "The patterns," she whispered. "They're like neural networks, but operating on a quantum level." The Nexarian presence paused, a flicker of surprise rippling through its communication. "You perceive that? Impossible. Your neural architecture should be far too primitive." Dr. Rodriguez stepped forward, her hands moving as she spoke. "Not primitive. Different. Our brains process information in a unique way. The quantum entanglement patterns in your structures, they're similar to the natural neural patterns we've observed in human consciousness during deep meditation." Sarah watched the exchange with growing interest. The Nexarians' dismissive attitude had shifted to something closer to curiosity, though their arrogance remained palpable. "Perhaps," the presence conceded, "your species warrants further study. Though you lack even basic dimensional manipulation capabilities, your neural patterns are intriguing. We will permit you to establish an observation post in this sector. Watch, learn, and know your place in the cosmic hierarchy." As the presence withdrew, Sarah turned to her crew. The bridge was silent, each person processing what had just occurred. Dr. Rodriguez was already buried in her data, muttering about quantum neural interfaces and consciousness expansion. "Captain," Wei spoke up, his voice thoughtful. "They think they're giving us a chance to observe them. But what if they just showed us exactly what we needed to see?" Sarah smiled, a plan already forming in her mind. "Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them we've made contact, and we've learned something crucial." She paused, looking out at the crystalline structures. "The Nexarians think they're our teachers, but they might have just become our unwitting mentors in humanity's greatest leap forward. The Prometheus maintained its position at the edge of the nebula, its crew watching and learning. But they weren't just passive observers. They were pioneers on the brink of a revolution. Humanity had been dismissed as primitive, but that dismissal would prove to be the catalyst for an evolution none could have predicted. In the ship's laboratory, Dr. Rodriguez worked tirelessly, mapping the connections between human neural patterns and the quantum phenomena they'd observed. Each discovery brought them closer to understanding how consciousness itself might be the key to manipulating higher dimensions. The Nexarians had meant to put humanity in its place, but they had instead planted the seeds of their own astonishment. 6 months after the Prometheus's encounter with the Nexarians, the underground facility beneath the Atacama Desert hummed with activity. Dr. James Chen stood before a wall of holographic displays, each showing different aspects of the human neural architecture his team had mapped. The data from the Prometheus had changed everything they thought they knew about human consciousness. The quantum resonance patterns are unlike anything we've seen before, he explained to the assembled group of scientists and military officials. When we expose human neurons to specific quantum frequencies, they don't just respond. They amplify the signal in ways that should be impossible. Behind him, a massive chamber housed the prototype of their most ambitious project yet, the Neural Enhancement Chamber. Inside, volunteers underwent carefully controlled experiments that pushed the boundaries of human consciousness. Major Diana Patel, the military liaison to the project, stepped forward. "And you're certain this is safe, Dr. Chen?" James gestured to the latest test results. "As safe as pioneering technology can be. We're not changing human consciousness. We're awakening capabilities that were always there. The Nexarians' attempt to overwhelm our minds actually gave us the key to unlocking our potential." In the observation room above the chamber, Dr. Elena Rodriguez, newly transferred from the Prometheus, monitored the latest test subject. The young woman floating in the suspension field was Lieutenant Sarah Chen, James's daughter, and one of their most promising volunteers. Sarah's neural patterns danced across the screens, her consciousness expanding in ways that defied conventional understanding. Suddenly, the instrument spiked, and Sarah's eyes snapped open, glowing with an inner light. "The quantum field," she gasped, her voice resonating strangely. "I can see it, feel it. It's everywhere, connecting everything." James rushed to the observation window, his heart pounding. "Sarah, what do you mean? What do you see?" "The dimensions. They're like layers, vibrating at different frequencies. The Nexarians were wrong. We don't need technology to manipulate them. We just need to understand how our consciousness interacts with the quantum fabric of reality." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Major Patel was the first to speak. "Dr. Chen, are you saying we can achieve what the Nexarians do, but without their level of technological advancement?" "Not exactly," Sarah answered, her voice returning to normal as she was lifted from the chamber. "Their technology is incredible, but they're dependent on it. They've evolved to require external tools for dimensional manipulation. Humans, we have the potential to do it naturally." Over the next few weeks, more volunteers underwent the enhancement process. Each success brought new insights, but also new challenges. The human mind, they discovered, was capable of perceiving and influencing quantum states directly, but controlling these abilities proved difficult. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. During a routine test, 2 enhanced subjects spontaneously formed a neural link, their consciousness merging and amplifying each other's abilities. The potential for human consciousness to network and expand became clear. "It's not about individual enhancement," James explained to his team. "It's about collective consciousness. The Nexarians achieve their feats through technology because they're fundamentally isolated beings. Humans have something they don't: the ability to form genuine conscious connections with each other." As news of the project's success spread through secure channels, research facilities around the world began replicating the enhancement process. A new age of human evolution was dawning. but it wouldn't come without resistance. One evening, as James reviewed the latest data, Alina burst into his office. "We've detected unusual energy signatures in orbit," she said, her face grave. "The Nexarians are back, and they're not just observing anymore." James looked at the readings, his expression hardening. "They've realized what we're doing. They know we're not just studying their technology. We're surpassing it in ways they never imagined." "What do we do?" Alina asked. "We continue," James replied firmly. "Humanity's greatest strength has always been our ability to adapt and evolve. The Nexarians thought they were studying us, but they're about to learn that they're not the only ones capable of surprising discoveries." As alarms began blaring throughout the facility, James knew they were running out of time. The enhanced humans would need to master their abilities quickly. Humanity's future might depend on it. The neural revolution had begun, and there would be no turning back. The Mojave testing facility stretched across the desert like a sprawling metal city, its quantum shielding shimmering in the morning sun. Inside the central chamber, Sarah Chen stood with 11 other enhanced humans, their minds linked in a conscious network that hummed with potential. "Ready for test sequence 17, Dr. James Chen announced from the control room, his voice tight with anticipation. They had hidden this facility from the Nexarians for 3 months, but their time was running out. Sarah closed her eyes, feeling the neural connection with her teammates strengthen. Their collective consciousness expanded, perceiving the quantum fabric of reality itself. The air around them began to ripple as their unified minds pushed against the boundaries of conventional space. "Energy readings are off the scale," Alina Rodriguez reported, her fingers flying over the controls. "The quantum field is responding to their consciousness in ways we never predicted." Suddenly, the space before the linked humans began to fold. It wasn't the brute force dimensional manipulation the Nexarians used. This was subtler, more elegant. Reality parted like a curtain, revealing glimpses of higher dimensions the human eyes were never meant to see. "Hold it steady," James urged, but he needn't have worried. The neural network had evolved beyond the need for verbal commands. The 12 enhanced humans moved in perfect synchronization, their shared consciousness expanding into the dimensional rift they had created. Major Patel watched in amazement as instruments recorded what should have been impossible. "They're not just opening a gateway," she breathed. "They're actually perceiving and interpreting 11-dimensional space naturally. Even the Nexarians can't do that without their technology." The test continued for 6 minutes before the enhanced humans carefully closed the dimensional rift. As they disengaged from their neural network, Sarah stumbled slightly, caught by her teammate Michael West. Michael started, his eyes still glowing faintly with residual energy. "Different," Sarah finished. "We didn't just observe the higher dimensions this time. We understood them. They're not separate layers like we thought. They're all connected, all part of a single unified reality." James rushed down from the control room, his tablet displaying the test results. "The energy efficiency is remarkable. You're achieving dimensional manipulation with less than 1% of the power the Nexarians use. But more importantly, you're doing it in a way that's completely stable." Before they could celebrate their breakthrough, alarms blared throughout the facility. Lieutenant Zhang's voice came over the intercom, tense but controlled. "Multiple Nexarian vessels just appeared in orbit. They're using some kind of advanced scanning technology. Our quantum shielding won't hold for long." Alina pulled up the orbital feeds, her face pale. "They must have detected the dimensional disturbance. We knew this would happen eventually." "How long do we have?" James asked. "Minutes, maybe less," John replied. "They're not being subtle anymore." Sarah looked at her fellow enhanced humans, seeing the same determination in their eyes that she felt. "Then we don't hide anymore. We show them exactly what humanity is capable of." James started to protest, but Major Patel cut him off. "She's right. We've prepared for this. Authorization granted for Protocol Omega." The 12 enhanced humans quickly moved to their designated positions around the facility. As they linked minds again, Their consciousness expanded far beyond their previous limits. They weren't just pushing against reality now. They were beginning to understand its fundamental nature in ways the Nexarians had never imagined. Above them, the Nexarian ships began their descent, their massive forms breaking through the cloud cover. A familiar presence pushed into everyone's minds, but this time it wasn't filled with mere arrogance. There was fear. "You dare to meddle with forces beyond your comprehension," the Nexarian consciousness boomed. "Your primitive experiments end now." Sarah's voice, amplified by the neural network, responded with calm confidence. "You still don't understand. We're not experimenting anymore. We've moved beyond that." As if to demonstrate, the enhanced humans acted as one. The air around the facility began to twist and fold, but not in the violent way the Nexarians manipulated space. This was a graceful dance of dimensions, a demonstration of consciousness working in harmony with the fundamental forces of reality. The Nexarian ships suddenly found themselves unable to maintain their position. Space itself seemed to flow around them like water, responding to the subtle guidance of human consciousness rather than brute technological force. "Impossible." The Nexarian presence wavered. "Your species cannot have advanced this quickly." "That was your first mistake," Sarah replied, her consciousness merging seamlessly with her teammates. "You assumed that technological advancement was the only path forward, but we found another way, our way." As the enhanced humans prepared to demonstrate the full extent of their capabilities, James Chen watched with a mixture of pride and concern. They had broken free of the chains that limited their understanding of reality, but the real test was still to come. The Nexarians wouldn't accept this development quietly, and humanity would need to be ready for what came next. The United Nations Assembly Hall buzzed with an energy unlike anything in human history. Representatives from every nation sat transfixed as they watched the holographic display of humanity's first dimensional confrontation with the Nexarians. Dr. James Chen stood at the podium, his voice steady despite the weight of the moment. "What you've witnessed is just the beginning," he explained. "The Mojave incident proved that human consciousness, when properly networked, can achieve what the Nexarians thought impossible. But we need to act quickly. They're already mobilizing their full fleet." The assembly erupted in a mix of excitement and fear. The Chinese ambassador rose first. "How many enhanced humans would we need to defend Earth?" "It's not about numbers," Sarah Chen answered, stepping forward to join her father. The neural enhancement had left permanent traces of light dancing behind her eyes. "It's about connection. Every human mind we add to the network exponentially increases our capabilities. We don't need to match their fleet. We need to show them a completely different way of existing." Over the next month, enhancement facilities were established on every continent. The process that had once taken weeks was refined to days as they better understood the interaction between human consciousness and quantum reality. But more importantly, something unexpected began to happen. Even non-enhanced humans started experiencing subtle changes. The presence of so many expanded consciousnesses was affecting the collective human psyche, awakening dormant potential that had always existed within the species. In orbit, the first ships of the human Unity fleet took shape. Unlike the massive technological marvels of the Nexarians, these vessels were elegant and minimal. They didn't need complex dimensional drives because their enhanced crews could manipulate space naturally. They were extensions of human consciousness rather than mere machines. "The Nexarian fleet will arrive in 3 days," Major Patel announced during a global briefing. "Our long-range sensors detect over 1,000 ships, all larger than anything we've encountered before." Helena Rodriguez, now heading the Global Enhancement Program, pulled up the latest data. "But we have something they don't expect. The neural network has evolved beyond our predictions. It's not just enhanced humans anymore. We're starting to see the first signs of a true collective consciousness." She displayed readings from around the world. Millions of human minds were unconsciously connecting, forming a subtle web of shared awareness. Even those who hadn't undergone enhancement were becoming part of something greater. The Nexarian fleet arrived with a show of force that would have once terrified humanity. Their ships blotted out the stars, each one a city-sized testament to technological supremacy. Their message resonated through every human mind on Earth. Your species has overstepped its bounds. We offered guidance, and you responded with rebellion. Now you will learn the price of such arrogance. But humanity was ready. As the Nexarian weapons powered up, something remarkable happened. Billions of human minds, enhanced and natural alike, unconsciously reached out to each other. The neural network that had started with 12 people in the Mojave Desert now encompassed nearly all of humanity. Sarah Chen, commanding the flagship of the Unity fleet, felt the power of that connection flow through her. "You still don't understand what you're facing," she responded to the Nexarians. "You see us as primitive because we don't match your technological advancement. But we found something far more powerful: unity." The Unity fleet moved as one, its crews acting with perfect synchronization. But they weren't alone. Every human on Earth was part of this moment, their collective consciousness creating a field of quantum influence that the Nexarians had never encountered. As the alien fleet opened fire, their energy weapons met something unprecedented. Space itself seemed to flow around Earth, guided by the gentle but unstoppable force of billions of connected human minds. The Nexarian weapons, for all their power, couldn't affect what they couldn't properly target. Impossible. The Nexarian consciousness radiated confusion and fear. "Your technology cannot." "It's not technology," Sarah interrupted. "It's us. All of us. Every human mind working in harmony, whether they know it or not. We're not fighting you. We're showing you what's possible when a species truly connects." The demonstration was peaceful but undeniable. Humanity wasn't just matching Nexarian capabilities, they were transcending them. The very fabric of space-time responded to human consciousness in ways that the Nexarians, for all their technological might, couldn't comprehend. As the alien fleet hung motionless in space, unable to affect Earth or its defenders, James Chen smiled. The power of unity had proven greater than any weapon. But this was just the beginning. Humanity was evolving into something that would change the galaxy forever. The collective consciousness of humanity rippled through space like waves on a cosmic ocean. 3 months had passed since the confrontation with the Nexarian fleet, and the changes in human society had been profound. Cities now pulsed with visible quantum energy as billions of connected minds reshaped the very nature of human civilization. Sarah Chen stood on the observation deck of the Unity command station, watching Earth glow with a new kind of light, the manifestation of humanity's awakened potential. Beside her, her father James studied the latest readings from their quantum sensors. "We're detecting similar awakening patterns in other species," he said, his voice filled with wonder. "Our consciousness network is affecting the entire sector. Even non-sentient life forms are showing signs of increased quantum connectivity." The Nexarian fleet remained in orbit, but no longer as conquerors or observers. They had requested a dialogue, not through technology or telepathy, but through a true meeting of consciousness. Their earlier arrogance had been replaced by genuine curiosity and perhaps a hint of humility. "They're ready," Alina Rodriguez announced, entering the observation deck. The neural enhancement had changed her too. They had all evolved beyond their original forms. "The Nexarian High Council has agreed to the direct consciousness merge." Sarah nodded, feeling the support of billions of human minds flowing through her. "Then it's time to show them everything." The consciousness merger took place in the space between dimensions. Representatives from both species met not as physical beings, but as pure awareness. The Nexarians, for all their technological advancement, had never experienced anything like this direct connection. "We see now." The Nexarian consciousness resonated with newfound understanding. "Our civilization chose the path of external development, believing that technology was the only way to transcend our limitations. But you've shown us another way." Through the merger, humanity shared its journey, not just the recent awakening, but the entire human story. The Nexarians experienced human creativity, resilience, and most importantly, the power of genuine connection. They felt the strength that came from unity, the potential that emerged when consciousness worked in harmony. But the exchange went both ways. Humanity gained access to millions of years of Nexarian knowledge, not as mere information, but as lived experience. The synthesis of human consciousness and Nexarian wisdom opened doorways to understanding that neither species had imagined possible. This changes everything, James breathed as the merger concluded. Not just for us or the Nexarians, but for all sentient life. He was right. The ripples of human awakening had already begun to reach other civilizations, species that had long remained isolated, believing themselves alone in their development, began to feel the gentle touch of connected consciousness. Major Patel, monitoring the quantum communications network, reported unprecedented activity. We're receiving messages from over 100 civilizations. They've all felt the change. They want to understand, to connect. The Nexarian High Council made an unprecedented decision. Their vast fleet, once poised to suppress humanity, would now help protect this new awakening. Not through force, but by creating a safe space for consciousness to evolve naturally throughout the galaxy. Sarah stood before the United Earth Council, her consciousness still resonating with the echoes of the merger. "We stand at a crossroads," she declared. "Not just humanity, but all sentient life. The age of isolation is ending. We've proven that consciousness, when unified, can transcend the boundaries of physics, biology, and even reality itself." "But what does this mean for individual identity?" a council member asked. "Do we lose ourselves in this connection?" Sarah smiled. "Just the opposite. In true unity, individuality isn't lost, it's enhanced. Each consciousness adds its unique perspective to the whole, creating something greater than the sum of its parts. We're not becoming a hive mind, we're becoming a symphony." The transformation accelerated. Cities evolved into living networks of consciousness. Technology became an extension of awareness rather than a crutch. The barriers between dimensions became permeable to human perception, revealing a universe far more vast and wonderful than anyone had imagined. 1 year after the first contact with the Nexarians, humanity had become something new. Not merely a species that had mastered dimensional technology, but one that had transcended the traditional boundaries of existence. The universe, they discovered, was not just a place of physical laws and forces. It was a vast field of consciousness, waiting to be explored and understood. James Chen, watching Earth's new quantum aurora dance across the night sky, reflected on their journey. "They laughed at our weakness," he mused, "but they didn't understand. What they saw as primitive was actually potential. What they dismissed as simplicity was the seed of something far greater." Sarah joined him, their consciousness naturally harmonizing. "And this is just the beginning," she said. "We've opened a door that can never be closed. The real question is, what lies beyond?" As if in answer, the quantum field rippled with new possibilities. Humanity had not just survived its trial by fire, it had emerged transformed. The species that had once been mocked as primitive had become the catalyst for a galactic awakening, proving that the greatest power in the universe was not technology, but the boundless potential of connected consciousness. The universe would never be the same, and neither would humanity. They had transcended not just dimensions, but the very limitations of what was thought possible. The future beckoned, full of infinite possibilities, ready to be explored by a humanity that had finally awakened to its true potential.